The door in the dark. Jace hated this job sometimes. The space station was old, cold, and full of problems. Wires sparked, pipes leaked, and lights flickered like ghosts were playing with them. He had been working maintenance shifts for 3 months now. But this was the first time he was sent to Sector B-17. Everyone avoided this part of the station. They said it was dead space, no life support, no cameras, no power, just storage. But something about it didn't feel dead, it felt waiting. As he walked through the long metal hallway, his boots echoed on the floor, the lights buzzed above him, and steam hissed from a broken vent. He checked his datapad. Yes, this was the right place. A door stood at the end of the corridor. It was large, round, and covered in old scratches. Some looked like claw marks, deep and wild. Jace frowned. He wasn't here to explore mysteries. He was here to fix a power cable. That's it. He opened a panel near the door and started checking the wires. Then he heard it, a sound soft and shaky. Please ... human ... He froze. The voice was faint, almost a whisper. It didn't sound like a machine. It didn't sound like a recording. Please ... Unlock the door, the voice said again. Jace backed up. His heart was pounding now. He looked at the door again. This was not supposed to be occupied. There were no life signs reported here. He slowly stepped closer. He saw a small glass window in the middle of the door, fogged over. He wiped it. 2 glowing eyes stared back at him. They were not human. Bright silver irises with a soft golden light around them. Thin face, pale skin, hair like white silk pressed to her forehead. She looked young, afraid, and weak. Who are you? Jace asked. His voice was louder than he meant it to be. They locked me in, the girl said. Because of what I am. What are you? He asked. She didn't answer, just stared, breathing slow. Jace checked the door controls. The lock was manual old style, not linked to the station's central AI. That was strange, very strange. This area's supposed to be empty, he said, half to himself. They kept me hidden here, the girl replied. They didn't want anyone to know. He looked at the scratches again. They weren't from her. Something or someone had tried to break in, not out. Now Jace's fingers hovered over the manual unlock switch. If this was some kind of trap, he was dead. But if it wasn't, why should I help you? He asked. She leaned closer to the window. Her voice was shaking. Because they are coming back, she whispered. And you're the only one who can stop them. Me? Why me? Because you're human, she said. And they fear what you could become. The lights above flickered again. This time they didn't come back on. The hallway went dark except for the glow of her eyes. Jace's datapad beeped. Security was scanning nearby. Something about an escaped asset. He looked back at the girl. Are you the asset? She looked down, ashamed. Jace felt a chill run down his spine. This was way over his pay grade, but something deep inside told him this girl was not the danger. The danger was what wanted her back. He pressed the unlock switch. The door hissed, then clicked open. The air inside smelled clean but cold. She stepped forward slowly, carefully. Her arms were thin, and there were golden lines under her skin, glowing softly like veins filled with light. Thank you, she said. Jace didn't reply. His mind was racing. He had just opened a locked door, but he knew this wasn't just a door in a hallway. This was the beginning of something much bigger. And someone, somewhere was going to be very angry that it opened. The prisoner with golden veins. Jace didn't sleep that night. He sat in his tiny crew quarters, staring at the girl sitting across from him. She hadn't said much since he unlocked the door. Just her name, Aaliyah. She sat quietly, wrapped in a silver thermal blanket. Her eyes scanned everything: walls, wires, vents, like she didn't trust anything. Not even air. Her skin looked smooth and pale, but underneath it, glowing lines moved like rivers of gold. They pulsed slowly with each heartbeat. It didn't look natural. It looked like living code. Jace finally spoke. What are you? Aaliyah didn't answer at first. Then she said, They called me an error. A mistake with value, he frowned. You mean like an experiment? She nodded once, slowly. My people were peaceful. We lived far from the center worlds. But our blood was special. It could. Adapt, learn, evolve. She looked up at Jace. Her voice was quiet but sharp. Then the collectors came. They took thousands of us, studied us, cut us open. Jace felt sick. And the station? They were hiding you here? Not hiding, she said. Selling. That hit hard. The station his job. His home wasn't just falling apart. It was part of a galactic trafficking ring. Why are you glowing? He asked. Elia looked down at her arms. Because I'm changing. My DNA reacts to environment. Emotion. Time. She paused. But only humans can unlock what's inside. Only you can. Jay shook his head. I'm not special. I'm a low-level tech. I fix doors, not DNA. Elia leaned closer. The gold lines in her skin pulsed brighter for a moment. That's what they want you to think. But your species is older than you know. Older than you remember. Before he could ask what she meant, his datapad beeped. Alert. Unauthorized presence detected. Sector B. Security units deployed. Elia looked up. They're scanning for me. Can they track your glow? Jace asked. No, she said. But they'll find us anyway. They always do. Suddenly, the hallway lights outside his door turned red. Jace's heart skipped. Security. He jumped up, grabbed his jacket, and pointed to the wall. We have to move maintenance tunnels behind here. They're not on the station map. Elia followed without question. She moved with careful steps but stayed close. Jace opened the panel and pulled her through. Crawling into the narrow tunnel, darkness all around them. They moved fast, hands on cold metal. The only sound was the quiet hum of wires and Elia's breath behind him. After 10 minutes, they dropped into an unused engine room. Jace closed the hatch behind them. Okay, he said, trying to catch his breath. Now tell me the truth. What happens if they catch you again? Elia sat down on a crate. Her hands trembled, but her eyes were calm. They'll take what's left of me and burn the rest, she said. Jace leaned against the wall. So what do we do? She looked at him carefully, then said something strange. Have you ever touched something that wasn't human but felt familiar? He blinked, confused. No, why? She reached out her hand. Touch my skin, just once. It will answer your question. He hesitated. But something inside said do it. He touched her wrist. The gold light in her veins flashed bright. For a second, he couldn't see anything, just light. Then visions, planets burning, stars twisting, symbols written in air. A memory, but not his own. Then a voice not hers. Not his echoed in his mind. Humanity is the gate, not the key. He stumbled back. Breathing hard, Elia looked at him calmly. Now you understand, she said. There's a reason they keep your kind in the dark. Outside, footsteps echoed above them. Security was searching the floor. Jace clenched his jaw. His normal life was over. But something told him that might be a good thing. Blood hunters, the lights flickered. Not just in one hallway, but across the entire station. For most crew members, it felt like another glitch. Another lazy maintenance delay. But for Jace, it felt like a countdown. They had found her. He and Elia were hiding in an old vent shaft near the hydro-cooling unit. It smelled like rust and mold, but it was the only place not covered by surveillance. Elia sat still, eyes closed. Her glowing veins pulsed softly. Like a heartbeat trying to stay calm, Jace watched the security scanner on his wrist. It pinned once, twice, then froze. The signal was jammed. That's not normal, he whispered. Elia opened her eyes. They're here, she said. Not your security, not humans. Who? He asked, already afraid of the answer. The collectors. Jace had heard that name before. Rumors, stories. Space pirates who didn't steal cargo, they stole bodies. But now, he realized those stories were not rumors. They were warnings. The vent shook slightly. Someone heavy had stepped into the room above them. Jace slowly peeked through a small crack in the metal. He saw a figure, tall and silent. Its body wrapped in dark armor, not human design. The helmet was smooth, no eyes. No mouth, just a solid black shell. It moved without sound. Like it didn't need to breathe. What is that thing? Jace whispered, a bioshell. Elia replied softly. Empty armor, controlled by thought. They send them first to search and scan. The figure tilted its head, then raised its hand. A faint hum filled the air, high-pitched. Piercing, Aaliyah grabbed her head, wincing. "It's scanning for my frequency," she said. Jace looked around the vent. They couldn't stay here. But if they moved, they'd make noise. Then he had an idea, risky and stupid. He opened his backpack and pulled out his old repair drone, small, round, and usually useless. But it had a speaker. He hacked the drone system, set it to play a loop of random movement sounds, footsteps, metal clanks, air bursts. Then he launched it down the opposite end of the shaft. The bioshell's head snapped toward the noise. It moved, fast and smooth, following the fake sound. Jace grabbed Elia's hand. "Now," he whispered. They slipped out the other side, into a dark hallway. Jace pulled Aaliyah toward a hidden elevator shaft he used during emergency repairs. The door opened with a soft hiss. They stepped inside, hearts pounding. As the elevator dropped, Jace looked at her. "Why are they so desperate to catch you?" Aaliyah leaned against the wall, tired but calm. "Because I'm the last one," she said. "The last of my kind, and inside me is something they couldn't decode. What is it?" Jace asked. "A living sequence," she replied. "Information locked inside organic cells. The collectors couldn't open it, but humans can." "Why humans?" She looked up at him. Her eyes glowed just a bit brighter. "Because humans created it, long ago, before they forgot who they were." The elevator stopped. They stepped into the lower cargo bay, dark, quiet, full of forgotten crates and old tech. Jace checked a map on the wall. "If we reach the launch tubes, we can escape in a pod," he said. But before they could move, a voice echoed through the bay. Not from speakers, not from walls, from inside their heads. "Return the asset," the voice said, flat and cold. "You have 10 seconds." Jace spun around. A collector stood at the far end of the bay, tall and unmoving. Its presence felt wrong, like gravity bending around fear. "Run," Aaliyah whispered. Jace didn't argue. They dashed toward the far exit, dodging crates and metal beams. The collector raised its hand. A beam of energy fired, hitting the crate behind them. Fire burst into the air. They rolled behind cover. Gasping, Jace looked at Aaliyah. "We can't outrun that thing forever." Aaliyah looked at him, her face calm but serious. "Then don't fight it." "With what?" "My toolbox." She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small device, glowing with gold light. "With this," she said. "But only if you trust what's already inside you." Jay stared at it, unsure if this was bravery or suicide, but deep down, something in his blood felt like it had just woken up. Asterisk code within Jace had never seen a human weapon like it. The device in Elia's hand looked alive. It shimmered with light that pulsed like a heartbeat, gold and warm. It didn't have buttons or screens, just smooth curves and lines. "What does it do?" Jace asked. "It responds to you," she said. "Only to you." The collectors were searching the bay behind them, silent, ruthless, getting closer with every second. Jace took the device. It was warm in his palm. Not like metal, more like skin. As soon as he touched it, the lights around them flickered. Again, but this time, it wasn't a glitch. Something inside the station reacted. Aaliyah stepped back, watching. "Your DNA just spoke to it," she said. And it listened. Jace felt dizzy. His heartbeat sped up. But it wasn't fear. It was connection. He saw flashes in his mind again. But they were sharper now. A room, white and glowing. Machines shaped like stars. Voices speaking languages he didn't know, but somehow understood. And then his own face, standing in that place, but older. He dropped the device, gasping. "What is this?" He asked. "A memory key," Aaliyah said. "Your people used them to unlock technology with thought, but they forgot how. They forgot everything. How is that possible?" Aaliyah looked toward the hallway where the collectors had gone silent. Because forgetting was the only way to survive. Jace didn't have time to process that. They ran again, this time deeper into the maintenance levels. The walls here were covered in mold, rust, and strange graffiti from old station workers. No cameras, no power, No one had been down here in years. Aaliyah stopped suddenly. She touched the wall. "Here," she whispered. "Hear what?" Jace asked. She pressed her hand to the metal. A pulse of light spread from her palm. The wall shimmered and disappeared. Behind it, a hidden room, filled with ancient equipment. Jace stepped inside. It looked like a lab small, sealed but clean, everything covered in dust, but still humming with power. "How did you know this was here?" "I didn't," she said, "but the code inside me did." They started scanning the room. Jace found a terminal with alien symbols, yet somehow he could read them. The screen blinked. Awaiting human interface. He pressed his hand to the pad. The system came to life. Sequence match detected. Project Origin. Reactivating. Suddenly, a hologram appeared. A tall human figure, dressed in strange white armor, eyes glowing faint blue. It spoke in a calm, clear voice. "If you are seeing this, the seal is broken. You are a descendant of the Builders. The human genome contains the final key." Jay stepped back, stunned. "Is this real?" he asked. Aaliyah nodded. "Your kind didn't just survive history," she said. "You designed it." Suddenly, the room trembled. The collectors had found them again. The hologram continued, unfazed. "The girl you protect carries a living code. It adapts, evolves, but it cannot complete without the human sequence." "You mean?" "You are the missing part." The lights flashed red. A warning sounded from outside the lab. Jace turned to Aaliyah. "If I help you, what happens to me?" She looked at him, serious, no lies. "You'll change," she said. "Maybe even break. But we both will die if you don't." Jace stared at the device on the table. Next to a small injector, he could still run. He could still pretend none of this was his problem. But deep down he knew this wasn't just about her. It was about them, all humans, and what they were meant to become. He picked up the injector. "Let's finish what they started," he said. He pressed it into his arm. The moment it touched his skin, the world exploded into light. The map in her mind. There was no sound. No station noise, no footsteps, no breathing. Jace floated in a space that didn't exist. Black all around him, and yet he wasn't alone. Symbols drifted through the air. Glowing like stars, they twisted and shifted, forming patterns he couldn't read, yet somehow understood. A voice spoke, not out loud, but inside his bones. Human code detected. Synchronization beginning. Then light exploded. Jace opened his eyes with a gasp. His chest heaved, sweat running down his back. He was still in the hidden lab, but everything felt sharper. He could hear power humming through the walls. Smell burnt metal. Feel heat from far-off machinery like it was next to him. Aaliyah was kneeling next to him, watching carefully. "You're awake," she said. "I was starting to worry." "How long was I out?" Jace asked. "Not long," she said. "But something's changed in you." He sat up. Confused but alive, he looked at the nearby terminal. The alien symbols were clearer now, as if his brain had learned the language while unconscious. "I see it now," he whispered. "The code. The pattern." Aaliyah smiled softly. "That's the beginning," she said. "You're adapting." Then her expression changed. "But we're not safe here." She walked to a console and placed her hand on it. The floor lit up beneath them. A circular map formed from light, showing planets, stars, and lines connecting distant systems. One section blinked gold, pulsing like a heartbeat. "This is the map," she said. "It was hidden in my genetic memory, but I couldn't read it until I completed the sequence," Jace said. "Yes," she nodded. "Now we can find the place where my people built the original lab. The one the collectors never found." "Why is it so important?" Jace asked. "Because the code in me is only half the story," she said. "The other half is buried there, in machines your kind built a long time ago." Suddenly the lights flickered again, this time not from Jace. Warning signals flashed across the screen. "They've breached the outer deck," Jace said. "They're tracking us faster now." "Because you lit the beacon," Aaliyah replied. "The moment you used the code, they felt it." Jace looked back at the glowing map. How do we get to this location? Aaliyah turned and opened a hatch on the floor inside. An old but functional jump core drive. Portable. We'll steal a ship, she said. Then plug this into it. That's insane, Jace said. You know that, right? Most things worth doing are, she replied. They didn't wait. Jace grabbed the drive. Aaliyah took the map disc, and they ran. The station shook as they climbed the emergency ladders. Something was breaking through the hull above them. They reached the hangar level, lights flashing red, sirens screaming. 2 guards lay unconscious on the floor. Aaliyah's eyes dimmed. I didn't kill them, she said. I just made them sleep. Jace looked at her, still unsure whether to be amazed or terrified. They found a small interceptor ship near the edge fast. Outdated, but perfect for slipping past a blockade. Inside the cockpit, Jace slammed the jump core into the nav system. Lights glowed gold. Systems came online instantly. That's not human tech, he muttered. Not anymore, she said. The ship lifted. The hangar doors creaked open, just as a dark figure stepped into view behind them, a collector. But not like the others. This one was different. Its armor pulsed red. Like veins filled with blood. Aaliyah stared at it, fear creeping into her voice for the first time. That one is not empty, she whispered. It's alive inside. Pilot seat now, Jace shouted. Hitting the thrusters, the ship roared, shooting through the gap just before the doors slammed shut. Behind them, the collector raised a hand toward the stars, and something followed as they slipped into deep space. Aaliyah placed the map disc into the console. Now, she said, we go to where it all began. Jace didn't look back. He felt something burning in his blood, not pain, not power, something older than both. Asterisk, it started with a question, but not one Jace asked. This one came from inside the machine, inside his mind. Do you know what you are? The voice was deep, soft. Not human, but not alien either. Jace stood in the vault, still glowing with light from the last sequence. The map had shown the truth. And now the code was opening what history had sealed. Aaliyah stood outside the ring, her eyes full of worry and awe. You're changing, she said. I can feel it. Jace felt it too. Not pain, but expansion. Like his mind had grown too big for his skull. He could remember things he never lived. Instructions for machines he'd never seen. Star charts he'd never studied. Names of galaxies that didn't exist anymore. The voice spoke again. Your kind created peace, but peace became weakness. So you buried your power in blood and time. Jace tried to hold on to reality. He looked at his hands. They shimmered with light just under the skin. Like Aaliyah's, but different. Her glow was soft, adaptive, survival. His was structured, sharp, engineered. She was the key, but he was the lock. Why me? He whispered. The voice replied, because you said yes. Jace remembered the moment clearly when he chose to help Aaliyah. When he injected the code, when he stopped running from what he didn't understand. And now it was changing him. He saw the world in layers. Not just what it was, but what it could be. He could feel the machines around him, dormant, but listening. He could feel the air, the shift of gravity, the hum of energy stored beneath the floor. And something else. Far away, the collectors. He could feel their ships trying to force their way through the outer defenses of the vault. They were afraid. They had taken pieces of the original code and used it to dominate others. But they never understood it, because they were never invited. Only humans were. Aaliyah stepped closer. Her light pulsed with his, sinking for a moment. If you complete the connection, she said, you won't be the same again. What does that mean? He asked. Your mind will see everything, she said. But your body may not survive it. Jace smiled faintly. That's the most honest warning I've ever heard. He looked around the chamber. What happens if I don't finish it? Aaliyah looked down. Then I die, she said. And the collectors win. Silence fell between them. Heavy and real. Jace thought about Earth. About all the people who never knew the truth. Who lived and died thinking they were average, powerless, small. And now he held the last spark of the truth in his hands. He stepped back into the chair. The wires wrapped around him again. This time he didn't fight it. He let the code in. Fully pain hit first, but not like fire, more like too much light in his brain. He saw everything at once. How humans once created species. How they built entire planets as living ecosystems. How they walked through stars like oceans. And how they decided to vanish. To protect the future from their own past, Aaliyah reached out, placing her hand on the edge of the chair. Her light stabilized his. "You're almost there," she said, voice shaking. "Don't let go." He didn't. Not when the room started to quake. Not when the alarms began to scream. Not even when blood dripped from his nose. Then everything stopped. The shaking, the light, the sound. Only silence. The code was complete. Jace opened his eyes. They no longer glowed. But everything around him did. He stood slowly. The machines bowed to him, bowed. Aaliyah stared at him, in shock. "You didn't just survive it," she said. "You finished it." Jace reached out and touched a panel without speaking. The entire vault shifted. Doors opened, files uploaded. Weapons deactivated across thousands of miles. And then, the final message activated. The vault system sent a signal into space, unfiltered, unstoppable. It carried one message. The builders have returned. And the collectors, wherever they were, began to panic. Because the one thing they could never control had awakened: humanity. "Please, human, unlock the future." The stars were silent. The ship drifted through dark space, heading toward the last signal on the map. Jace sat in the pilot's seat, eyes half closed. The golden veins in his arms pulsed slowly, matching the hum of the ship. Aaliyah sat beside him, resting, but not sleeping. Neither of them spoke. There was nothing left to say, not until they saw it. A shape appeared in the black, not a planet, not a station, but something else, a structure, ancient and massive, floating between broken moons, like a cathedral built by stars. "This is it," Aaliyah said. "The origin vault." The ship slowed and docked automatically. The systems recognized Jace's DNA without a single code entered. They stepped into silence. No lights, no movement, just dust, metal, and echoes of the past. But as Jace walked forward, the walls came alive. Light followed his steps, glowing patterns crawling across the floor like vines waking up after centuries. Aaliyah touched the wall. Her veins pulsed gold. And the walls answered. "This place knows us," she said. "More than that," Jace replied. "It remembers us." At the center of the vault, they found a chamber inside, a ring of ancient machines, still working, still waiting. In the middle, an empty seat. Aaliyah turned to Jace. "This is where it ends. Or begins," she said. "You sit there, you connect. You finish the code. And if I don't? Then the collectors rewrite the galaxy," she said, "and erase everything your kind was meant to be." Jace stepped into the ring. His heart felt like it was trying to escape his chest. He sat down. The machine didn't hum, it breathed. Wires wrapped around his arms, not tight, not cruel, almost gentle. Then came the light, not around him, inside him. Memories poured into his brain, not just his own, but from other lives, other times. Humans creating cities in space, designing life, teaching peace. And then fear, war, loss, a decision. To hide it all, to sleep, to forget. Now he understood. They weren't weak, they were sleeping. And he had just woken them up. The machine spoke. A calm voice that echoed through the chamber. "Sequence complete. Human key activated. Releasing inheritance." Aaliyah stepped into the ring. Her body glowed with energy, but this time it sensed with his. Together, their lights formed a spiral, a pulse that shot upward into the sky, back on the ship. The signal burst from the vault and hit deep space, and every collector ship chasing them? They froze, their systems went dark, then cracked, then crumbled, because their code had been built on stolen pieces, and Jace just sent out the real one. Across the galaxy, other humans began to feel it too. Something waking up inside them, not magic, not power, just truth. They were never meant to be at the bottom, they were meant to build, to protect, to lead. Aaliyah turned to Jace. Her voice was steady, her eyes filled with wonder. "You didn't just unlock the vault," she said. You unlocked us. Jay stood slowly. The machine unwrapped from his arms. His body felt the same, but his mind didn't. He could see patterns in everything. Gravity, energy, movement, it all made sense now. Not like a weapon, but like a responsibility. The vault walls began to shift, revealing long halls of frozen archives. Ancient tech and knowledge waiting to be shared. Ilya stepped beside him. What now? She asked. Jace looked out into the stars. Now we go back, he said, and remind the galaxy what humanity really is. Ilya smiled. HFY, she whispered, and the stars blinked back.